quarterback, and I'm just excited, and I can't, thank my teammates enough for making me look good, and I'm ready for the opportunity.
How happy are you that you sat back for 3 years, sat as a backup? How happy are you now that you made the decision to stay with Alabama?
Yeah, I think it's abnormal for sure to, not transfer in today's day and age. But, I don't regret it at all. I love being here. I love my teammates. I love this university. I learned a lot from the guys that played before me, like Bryce and Jalen. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, and then the guys behind me, like Keelan and Austin. I think that they pushed me and elevated my game to a game that it's never seen before. So we're going to continue to grow each and every day as a quarterback room as a group, and I'm excited about it.
Tell us about the moment finding out and what that was like.
Yeah, so we had a quarterback meeting, and it was just us three, and then Grubb, Coach Sheridan, and Coach DeBoer were in there, and they were just like, guys, hey, we're gonna name Tyler Starter today, and we went from there, and they were really appreciative of me, and congratulated me. Austin and Keelan did, and they just told me to go get it, and like I said, I can't thank those guys enough because I wouldn't be here if they didn't push me every single day.
What were you feeling in that moment?
It was surreal for sure. Something I've dreamed about, since I came here. But I'm not going to sit here and say it was nothing I didn't expect. I feel like I worked my tail off for it. And I'm just excited for the opportunity to go out there with my guys and compete each and every day.
How's the relationship been like with you and Coach Grubb? How do you feel like you've been flourishing underneath him?
Yeah, that's my guy, man. He came in here, and I knew him a little bit when he first got here back last year. But the whole Seahawks thing happened. But when he came back, man, he's been so great. I've learned so much ball from him and Coach Sheridan. And they've just been in unison when it comes to everything, to the detail, the routes, to the run mesh or whatever. And, I learned a lot of ball from those guys. And so I feel like that helps me as a quarterback, being a coach's son, and just, trying to make sure that I put the team in the best position to win.
How much has it helped you or held you back that you've been dealing with a different offensive coordinator every single year since you've been here?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it held me back at all. I think about the guys when I first got here. I had Bill O'Brien, I had Alex Mortensen, who's a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator at UAB, and then Derek Dooley. Learned a ton of ball from those guys and Bryce, and then Tommy Reese, John McNulty. And then Coach Dooley was there my second year. I learned a different type of offense and learned just different types of schemes or whatever. And then, my third year, I have Coach DeBoer and Coach Sheridan and then Coach Grubb this year. And, I don't feel like it's something bad at all. I've learned a lot of stuff from those guys and a lot of different stuff that I've taught, the other guys is like, hey, this is how we did it in the past, maybe that'll help you, read it a certain type of way or whatever. So, I wouldn't say by any means it's hurt me. I think it's helped me by a lot.
Ty, how is this quarterback battle different than the ones that you've gone through in the past? It's different just because, one, I'm older, but, it just is a different type of group. Those guys have helped me a lot, and they were just great guys or whatever. Being older definitely helps, and, they push me every single day, so I can't thank them enough. Were you more confident because of having gone through a similar experience?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like I have, just because I know what to expect, and I know, hey, the mistakes I did last time, I'm going to make sure I'm not going to do that again. And just being older and confident and understanding, like, hey, I'm just going to be the best I can every single day. And my teammates, man, they gave me a lot of confidence, just in and out every day, just making plays for me and blocking. I can't thank those guys enough.
I imagine your phone's been blowing up a little bit in the past day or so. Who are some folks that you heard from, former teammates, different people that really stood out to you?
Yeah, Greg McElroy texted me, which is really cool. I really look up to him a lot. A bunch of my family, a bunch of my friends, a bunch of guys who transferred out have reached out. It means a lot because I'm a big, relationship person. I'm a people person. So, guys who left, I really try to connect with them in a lot of different ways. I may not understand why they left, but I just want them to know that they can always count on me and understand that I'll be there for them anything they need. And I think I take that into my game too, that, understand that, like, hey, I'm going to be the best teammate I can be, and make sure that I'm going to do everything I can to help our team win.
Who was your first call or text when you found out?
Definitely my family, my dad, and I think my mom and dad started crying or whatever. So it was surreal. So I called my dad later that night, and then I took a nap. So.
Did you call Book? call you?
Yeah. So Book, I texted Book, and he called me, and he was like, "I better be at the draft like you were with me." So, you know, it'll be a fun year for sure. I'm excited to watch him play for the Cowboys.
Ty, take me through Alabama's wide receiver room. What have you seen this spring or this fall from that room, guys like Isaiah Horton, Ryan Williams?
Yeah, man, we got a bunch of studs, man. I'm really excited about that group. You know, we got a transfer from Isaiah, who from Miami, who I knew, you know, in Nashville. You know, Germ's coming off a big year, who I think he's going to have a better year. Even the same with Ryan. You know, he's older now, bigger and stronger. Then you got guys like Derek Meadows, Latia Brooks, Rico Scott, who are stepping up in big ways. And then you got Cole Adams, and you know Bach is, you know, transferring from defense to offense. Man, those guys are doing a great job, and you know they're really detailed in their routes. And Shep has done a great job just making sure that, you know, even on pass plays that they're or run plays that they're blocking and being selfless, man. So I'm really excited about that group, and it's my job to get those, you know, good players the ball.
What will go into your process over the next couple of weeks now that you've been named starter?
Yeah, you know, really nothing's going to change. You know, I'm going to make sure I go through my process of, you know, just being the best I can be. You know, I got to make sure that my teammates can count on me and make sure they have confidence in me. And I'm going to make sure that I can, you know, give us the best chance to win. And, you know, whether that's handing the ball off 50 times or throwing it 50 times, you know, I got to understand my job and make sure that I give us the best chance to win on Saturdays.
Other than being just simply older, how do you feel you're a different quarterback than the last time you went through a competition like this?
Yeah, you know, I've talked to Coach Saban a lot. You know, he always would tell me, you know, don't worry about the outside noise, don't worry about external factors, don't worry about anybody else, just be the best you can be. And I really didn't understand that when I was a young guy. You know, I would always be worried about, you know, somebody else or somebody at, you know, a different type of school or whatever, or be looking somewhere else and, you know, be like, man, I could have played there or whatever. But, you know, he always kept saying, just focus on yourself, focus on the best you can be. And then, you know, when Coach DeBoer came, he talked about going 1-0 and, you know, winners win because that's what winners do. And I had to sit back and, you know, pray about it and just think to myself, like, man, like, I got to do something. I can't keep going down this road of just, you know, worrying and having anxiety or whatever. So, you know, I sat back in my room one night and I was like, man, I just, you know, I'm going to pray. I'm going to give everything I got to the Lord and just make sure I understand that, like, hey, that, you know, I'm just going to be the best player, the best Ty Simpson I can be. And I think, you know, these last couple of years, that's what I've really tried to do, just make sure, like, hey, don't do anything fancy, man. Like, you know, even though it's the University of Alabama, just play football and just be the best version of yourself you can be. So,
What stood out to you in those prayers, or what kind of revelations did you have in those moments?
You know, I remember my sophomore year when it happened, really. It was after a spring scrimmage. You know, I came in, I didn't really do a lot. I came in, I just started crying. You know, I was just like, man, like, what is going on, man? Like, what, you know, I just don't feel like it's not fun to me anymore. And my dad asked me, he was like, man, like, you know, how's your faith doing? You know, what are you doing to, you know, make sure that you give everything and to trust in the Lord? And I had to sit back and I was like, man, like, you're right. Like, I'm more worried about how people perceive me in football than they do, you know, how I walk in my faith and how I am as a person, man. So, you know, football means a lot to me, don't get me wrong. I make sure that I'm going to do everything because he's given me this platform and he's given me this opportunity. But no matter how many touchdowns I throw, no matter how many wins I have at the University of Alabama, I'm a Christian first. And I know that, you know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Have you heard from him yet?
No, but I can't wait to see him, though. I'm going to tell him thank you. And, you know, he means a lot to me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his guidance and everything he's done for me.
Where are some areas that through film study and meetings that you think you can still grow and develop?
Yeah, you know, I feel like I can still grow and develop every day, just understanding the offense better, understanding, you know, defensive coordinators, and just understanding, hey, you know, this is why we do it. So, you know, I'm going to continue to grow with that. And Coach Grubb, meet with Coach Sheridan or whatever, and just, you know, make sure that, you know, I understand why and, you know, make sure that we give the best chance to win on Saturdays.
We're going to spend a lot of time analyzing your game and looking at all these clips. How would you describe yourself as a quarterback?
Yeah, man. You know, I feel like I'm a dual threat guy. You know, I can sit in the pocket or I can escape and make plays. But, you know, I also, you know, I think underrated part of my game is that I'm going to do what it takes to win. So, you know, I'm going to do the gritty stuff. I'm going to make sure, you know, I'm going to make sure we get the first down when it's 4th and 3. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, man, you know, those guys make me look good in that locker room. You know, with our wide receiver group, our running back group, our O-line, man. I'm so excited about these guys, man. They make me look good, so I got to make sure that I give them everything I got. So that's what, you know, I tell them every day, that when I go in the huddle, like, man, I'm going to go hard for you today. Like, I'm going to be, we talk about being unbreakable all the time, and the only only way I'm unbreakable is if we're all unbreakable together as the offensive team.
Last one.
Ty, there's been a lot of talk about, the gimme offense, those 5-yard, 10-yard plays that Coach DeBoer says, should be completed 100% of the time. What's kind of how has that been explained to you, especially with, the wide receiver room that you have? Like, how have they approached what they expect out of a quarterback this year?
Yeah, I think it's just make the easy one easy. We got, like you said earlier, man, we got a deep, wide receiver room, and then we got a deep running back room, and then we have the best offensive line in the country, man. So why would I make things harder than what they are? You know what I mean? So when the defense, makes me check the ball down, give the ball the space to jam Miller, give the ball in space to Ryan, give the ball in space to those guys. Like, let's go let them work, man. It's not a hard game. We try to make it harder than what it is. Just take what they give you, get the first down, and then go from there. But man, those guys do a really good job, and I'm excited for them, and I can't, wait to see how they do.
All right, thanks.